Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by money? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive deep into the core principles of Dave Ramsey's hugely influential book, The Total Money Makeover. It's a plan designed to bring some real clarity and control back into your financial life. So let's explore how it plans to do just that.
And that quote right there, that's Dave Ramsey talking about himself. He starts his story from a place that, let's be honest, a lot of us can probably recognize. He wasn't some guru sitting on a mountain of cash. Nope. He was at a point where he felt totally lost. You know that feeling, when there's just too much month left at the end of the money. He talks about this feeling of dread, of fear, and a total lack of control.
So let me just ask you, does that hit home? Is your financial life more about stress than it is about security? Because really feeling that and understanding it, well, that's the first step to actually changing things. And according to Ramsey, a huge chunk of that stress comes from all the financial wisdom we've just been taught to accept without question.
All right, so let's jump into section 1. We're going to start by picking apart some of that common financial wisdom our culture pushes on us. Ramsey's whole argument is that these aren't truths at all. They're myths. And, they're often pushed by the very industries that profit from them, and they're leading a lot of people down the wrong path.
Okay, the biggest myth of them all. It's this idea that debt is just normal, that it's an unavoidable part of modern life. We see it absolutely everywhere, so we just kind of accept it. But Ramsey's analysis really makes you stop and ask a pretty powerful question. If normal means being stressed out, living paycheck to paycheck, and having basically zero savings, then who in their right mind would want to be normal?
And this is where you see this huge disconnect, right, between what we're told and what's actually true. The myth is that debt is this smart, sophisticated tool you can use to build wealth. But then you look at the reality. You go and ask the people who have actually built incredible wealth, like the Forbes 400, and a whopping 75% of them say the complete opposite. Their advice: get out of debt and stay out of debt, period.
And that leads us right into another huge myth, the credit score. We're trained to think of our FICO score as this report card on how we're doing with money. A high score means you winning, right? Well, not so fast. When you actually look at what a FICO score measures, it's all about your interaction with debt. It's not tracking your net worth. Ramsey actually calls it an I love debt score because it's really just a measure of how good you are at playing the debt game.
Okay, last myth for this section, the car lease. Oh, that low monthly payment looks so tempting, doesn't it? That's the bait. But Ramsey has a great word for it: fleecing. Because when you factor in all the hidden costs and the penalties on the back end for going over your mileage or for excessive wear and tear, it turns out to be the most expensive way to operate a vehicle. It's a classic trap.
So, if all the advice we're getting from the outside world is basically flawed, then what's the solution? Where do we turn? This brings us to section 2. Ramsey's central argument is that the answer isn't some complicated financial product you have to go find. No, the answer is way, way closer to home.
And here it is. This is probably the single most important insight in the whole book. Winning with money, it's not about being a math whiz. It's not about being a stock market genius. It's 80% behavior. And only 20% is the head knowledge, the technical stuff. The math involved is actually super simple. It's doing it, that's the hard part. I love this quote because it's all about taking radical personal responsibility. It just completely reframes the whole problem, doesn't it? It stops you from blaming the economy or your boss. The primary problem isn't out there, it's looking back at you in the mirror. But, and this is the empowering part, the person who has the power to get you out of the mess is that same exact person. So when Ramsey says behavior, what does that actually mean? It's so much more than just don't spend so much on coffee. It's this really holistic thing. It's your emotional relationship with money. It's how you talk or don't talk about finances with other people. It's the habits you picked up from your family growing up. It's how you react to pressure from society. It's even about your personal values. It's the whole shebang.
And what's so powerful about this is that it makes the plan accessible to absolutely everyone. You don't need a PhD in finance. You don't need a genius level IQ. What you need is to make a decision. That's it. It's about deciding to take control and start telling your money where to go, one choice at a time.
Okay, so we've got the mindset down. Now for section 3, the actual step-by-step plan. This is the how-to. How do you actually put all this into practice and change your behavior? Ramsey lays out a really clear sequential plan that he calls the baby steps.
And the engine that drives this whole thing is something called the Debt Snowball. Here's how it works. You list out all of your debts, but not by interest rate. Nope, You list them from the smallest balance to the largest. Then, you attack that smallest debt with everything you've got. You throw all your extra money at it until it's completely gone. Then, you take that entire payment and you snowball it. You roll it right on to the next smallest debt. And that's how you start building some serious momentum.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a minute, mathematically, shouldn't I pay off the highest interest rate first? And you know what? If this was just about math, you'd be right. But remember that 80-20 rule? This plan is for humans, not calculators. It's about behavior modification over math. When you knock out that first smallest debt, you get a quick win. It feels amazing, and that feeling gives you the psychological boost you need to keep going and tackle the next one.
So here's where the debt snowball fits into the first few baby steps. Step 1 is super simple. Save $1,000 fast. That's your starter emergency fund. Then, step 2 is where you unleash the debt snowball and pay off every single debt you have, except for your house. After that, step 3 is about building up a fully funded emergency fund, like 3 to 6 months of expenses. And only after that solid foundation is built do you move on to step 4, investing and building real wealth.
And Ramsey makes it crystal clear, this is not some casual walk in the park. This requires what he calls gazelle intensity. You know, like a gazelle running for its life from a cheetah. You have to be laser focused. It means you're working extra hours, you're selling so much stuff the kids think they might be next, and you're getting really comfortable with the word no. It takes total all-in focus.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That sounds pretty intense. And it is. So why would anyone put themselves through that? That brings us to our final section, the goal. Because the end game here is about so much more than just stacking up a pile of cash. The real goal is to achieve what Ramsey calls financial peace.
And this quote is the mantra for the whole journey. Live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. It frames the whole thing perfectly. It's a trade-off. For a little while, you're going to make sacrifices. You're going to live differently than all your friends who are buried in payments. Why? So that down the road, you get to experience a level of freedom they can only dream about.
Let's put some real numbers to this to make it tangible. Ramsey did the math, and a typical family with a $75,000 income sends about $3,175 every single month to creditors. Think about that. That's for the mortgage, the car payments, the student loans, the credit cards. Their single greatest wealth-building tool, their income, is just flying out the door. So this leads to the most powerful question in the whole book. What if you paid that money to yourself instead? Just imagine for a second what your life would look like if that massive chunk of cash wasn't going backward to pay for the past, but was flowing forward to build your future. What could you do with that?
Well, the numbers are pretty mind-blowing. If you took that exact same amount, that money that used to go to the banks, and you invested it instead, that typical family could become millionaires in about 13 years. That's not a fantasy. That's just the simple, incredible power of compound interest when your income is finally working for you instead of against you.
But you know, at the end of the day, it's not even about the $1 million. That's not the goal. The money is just a tool. The real goal is freedom. The freedom to do work you love, not just work you need to pay the bills. The freedom to face a crisis without being terrified. And the freedom to be outrageously, incredibly generous. It's about taking back control of your own life.
So let's wrap this up with one last question to think about. At its core, the Total Money Makeover is about a fundamental shift in perspective. It's about going from being a passive victim of your circumstances to becoming the active, intentional director of your own financial destiny. It's the difference between ending the month wondering where all your money went and starting the month by telling your money exactly where it's going to go. And that one simple shift, well, it can change everything.